And we're going to have a bit of a conversation with companies looking forward to the next generation of precision tools for pest management. We have Abby Welsh from Semios who's going to talk about not their lures this time, but sort of their automated trapping and decision support tools. Kelly Matson from Oxytech, which is a biological solution that we'll hear about. Lisa Malabad from TrapView, another automated trapping and decision support system. And then last but not least, Bill Reynolds from Leading Edge Technology, looking at UAV, aka drone application of specialty products, including pesticides and fungicides. So, very much looking into the future here. So we'll start out maybe with you, Abby, and just kind of come down the road. Give a couple minutes on what is your technology that you want people to think about for their next investment.
Okay. Well, I'm Abby. If you saw this morning's session, I introduced myself then, but I'm one of the entomologists at Semios. And Semios, I think most everybody knows us as a mating disruption company. That's what we've been most known for, but I like to describe it as we're really more of an integrated pest management platform with the added benefit of mating disruption. So looking forward, we've really tried to take on the goal of what do the growers and the PCAs need and how can we manage that relationship together and make things seamlessly easy enough to make those decisions without having too much conflict. That's kind of been our main goal going forward as we've been developing out our technology.
Good afternoon. I'm Kelly Matson, and I'm here today coming in from the UK to represent Oxytech. And Oxytech is a mating-based technology platform. So we're seeking to develop a product focused on navel orangeworm for a highly effective, very specific way to control pest populations. The idea being you can release a male-only group, they mate with the females, and the offspring cannot survive. And so in this way, we control pest populations in a perfectly targeted manner. So you've heard a lot about pesticide withdrawals and about toxicity, and the goal is to have something that is a leave no trace technology. You release it, it does its job, you stop releasing it, and it disappears from the environment. So we're talking with Josette to figure out what's the best way to bring this technology to you guys. The idea being to have a product, it arrives to you, you place into the orchard, you can treat up to hundreds of acres from a point, and low input in terms of effort, low input in terms of having to think about it, and it controls your navel orangeworm problem without extra sprays and hopefully reduces sprays through the season.
Hi, I'm Lisa Malabad with TrapView. Basically, at TrapView, we provide automated pest monitoring systems that basically track and report and use analytics on accumulated pest pressure. So you see what's happening on a daily basis and on an accumulated basis. Those reports come to you on a daily, weekly basis, and you can see it helps with in all the challenges that are going on in the field with operational efficiencies to see, here's my key hot spots that I've got to really focus on. So we're looking at how we can help as far as savings when planning out some of the scouting and everything like that. So again, just very, very automated reporting. It's self-sufficient units, so they do their own cleaning, they do their own charging. So we try to keep them as hands-off as possible to help supplement the work that you're already doing out there.
My name is Bill Reynolds, and our focus of our technologies is really around operational in the sense that we have a mapping geospatial system, database system that assembles all of these silos of information you have into one location. And it's operational in the sense it handles ground and air and everything for your applications and recording and state reports. But we also have precision vision, which is the unmanned aircraft systems that do aerial applications for all kinds of industries. And I guess we'll get into that a little bit more later. And then we have drop vision, which essentially validates everything that's going on the aircraft as well as in the orchards or wherever the application is being made, because it analyzes your deposition and drift when you're making applications.
Great. So quick commercials from each of those companies. And of course, these are not necessarily the only companies who offer some of these products, but we wanted to kind of get more of a conversation about the direction of technology. So I wonder if you could each talk about how you would integrate your technology within a broader farm management system, and maybe integrating it with other pest management tools, or other technologies. I think we're all bombarded by the amount of information we could have, but then how do you make a decision with that plethora of information sources? So particularly focus on that.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of our biggest challenges at Semios. Our growers are always asking for us to integrate the information that they have in one way or another. And I think we've found our biggest successes with integration. We've been really successful integrating spray records. So we've been integrating from Agrian, AgWorld, and AppRex into our system. And what's nice is we're able to provide a visual that overlays all of that data together. So you might have your trapping data alongside your degree day data, alongside your spray records, and you can now have all of them together and see it on a linear outlook instead of it like as a calendar day. And so it's been very helpful, and I think our growers have gotten really good results out of whether that's looking at it after it's happened or making decisions as it's actively happening. They've had success with both of those, and we've been pretty excited on where we've been going with that.
From Oxitec's perspective, we very much view ourselves as one piece of your puzzle. So we will provide app tools that could help growers place the products, but we can equally integrate into these other systems that exist for you. There's nothing about our technology that necessitates another overlaid technology system for you, and it would very much be responsive to what am I seeing in my traps, when do I need to go out, when I'm going to start planting, and our products can be placed based on any of those dates. So as we work on development, we work with the growers to understand what do you need to know to decide when to start, when to replace, when to stop. And so it's going to be developed to fit in with the systems you have, whether digital tools or farming practices that are already successful in your orchards.
Yeah, all that to say ditto. So very similar to what these ladies were sharing with you. We have the APIs already built into the system. So how many times have we heard every situation is unique? That's true. So if you have a grower that already has a really well-rounded system, they love their platform, they love the way their data looks, we can export our data that's already built into the system to interface with their program so that they can upload it and vice versa. But I think very similar goals. I think the technology companies are recognizing, hey, you can't all come with your own small piece and just say that's it. Please look at 15 applications. I think we're all agreeing that we need to say what works best for each grower and work with them to address that and have the right platform based on what their needs are.
I just realized that Oxitec was, Matt Vision was run in Brazil with Oxitec. It just dawned on me, she's sitting right next to me. Anyway, it's just, again, the database management brings everything into one location instead of multiple silos. And then the precision vision on the unmanned aircraft systems, I mean, you've got a treated area. Your PCA can get into the system as a user and draw the polygons or bring up the polygons, and they go straight to us. That goes straight on the aircraft to make the applications, and then whatever's recorded goes straight back into your system, so you see where we flew and where we sprayed and the material and the rate per acre and all that good stuff. So.
Great. All right. So I've worked in ag a long time. I've been through a few cycles of trendy ag systems. But what I find really interesting about this time is, I think you kind of illustrated a little bit on this panel, is that we're going through both kind of a technological revolution, bringing the tools of the Internet of Things, connected devices, and now artificial intelligence that can really speed up the analytics and have much more sophisticated ways of analyzing data that's coming in volume from our farms. So we have that side of it, and it's great to hear that maybe we've turned a corner on the ability to integrate data from all these different systems, because that's been a particular problem in agriculture, as everyone kind of wanted to own each stream of data. But at the same time, we are seeing a bit of a renaissance for biological systems. So I think if you just throw out the word healthy soils, for example, not something I would normally talk about, but soil quality. But realizing that the biology in our soils is important to the agronomy and management of our orchards. As we've seen today, looking at products that are biopesticides for management of some of our fungal diseases that we heard in the canker section, for example. So we're also starting to realize that our more complete understanding of the biology is also helping us use those tools. So maybe we're going to start with you, Bill. We'll go the other direction this time. So how do you see these two systems or paradigms of getting to more precision? And do you see them as complementary, or one being a stronger presence in the near future?
Yeah, without a doubt or any question, certainly complementary to the way you might be doing things and the integration of the systems. It's certainly the unmanned aircraft solve that issue without a doubt. Pheromone applications, those types of biologicals we perform those applications. The total automation of data sets and applications all fit perfectly with that capability and those paradigms. I had to look that word up when she sent me the question. I'll cut it short.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think giving specific examples is great. I appreciate that with the pheromones.
Also see absolutely 100% this is a complementary technology. Biologicals coming from originally a synthetic world, then going into the biological world, and now ag tech. One of the challenges we had with biological pesticides was the timing. If you didn't get the timing right, it was not a great product. So that's one of the functionalities I think in automated pest accumulation and monitoring and reporting out is you can actually simulate like applications and say, okay, if I put this product on here, knowing what how long it lasts, then I know that this is the ideal timing for this. So bringing in all that, so a lot of biological companies are interested in, I wouldn't necessarily say partnering, but saying how do we work together to be able to show if you use this product at this timing, that makes the most sense. So they're interested in also utilizing from a research standpoint to understand how they better provide information to their customers for best timing, best practices, but I see it 100% complementary.
And you've got me that we literally work with bugs that are species specific. And so we're very much on a targeted approach. We're very much on a grower knowing what their problem is and being able to address it specifically without having to reach into a new system, without having to do a blanket kind of spray. You know, pesticides have their place. You guys are going to need them. But we need to address new problems, I think, with new solutions. And I think biologicals, it's really growing up, you know, whereas before they were quite experimental, they were toys, you had to be quite brave to put yourself out there. I think we're getting to a place now where biologicals companies are thinking about, I need a product. What does my end product look like? And how do we get there so that it's something you can use, you can afford, and that you like to put on your orchard, that customers feel good about hearing was used across the crop. So I think that this is a really fast maturing industry, as you talk about. Information is paramount, but I think that precision is really important, and it's something that we think is a strength of our platform. We see it with the other insects we work with.
Yeah, and I think I'll just echo that. I think precision is probably the thing that's on our mind most too at Semios, and we recognize with the state of the almond industry and how bad the pricing is, and cost of fuel, cost of spray applications, all this stuff is increasing, and not necessarily the price of almonds is increasing. And so being precise and having really good timings has been very important for a lot of our customers, and just exploring how to really be confident in those decisions has been what we've been focusing on the last few years. But the precision is definitely very key, and having conversations with the almond board and knowing that some of the chemistries that we've been using for years might not be around in the next few years, and how do we combat that and what do we do next, I think is going to make precision even more important coming down the future.
Great. So one last question, and then you guys are free to ask some of these folks as well. So kind of with that, precision is our future. We all established that, and integration of technology and biology. What do you see as some of the particularly exciting opportunities, or maybe some of the challenges? I mean, you don't have to say they're challenges for your company. They could be challenges for the industries writ large. We have regulatory pressures that sometimes can make it hard to bring new ideas forward, but also we've got to educate and change practice. I know as we start to look at biopesticides as a viable option to integrate into conventional farming systems, so not just organic, it's a change in behavior. It's not one and done spray. It might be, oh, I have to really be prophylactic and really be keeping an eye on the problem. So there's a lot of change in mindset and change in behavior that could be a challenge. That maybe this is advice to us at the Almond Board. You can take it that way to make it neutral. So again, maybe just perspectives on the future. What are the real challenges or opportunities that we as an industry or as a group of public and private actors working with growers and PCAs?
I think that's pretty easy for me to answer. Just coming from a mating disruption company and experiencing the adoption of mating disruption, it hasn't been what I would have expected in the sense of like people believing that it works. And so that's been one of our biggest challenges, I think, is just getting people to trust that technology, trust the pheromones are working, because I don't want to sound pretentious but in the counterpart in Washington for codling moth management, everyone uses mating disruption. They don't question it. And so it's just one of those things where I think the mindset needs to change a little bit in the sense of it works, it's a good technology, pheromones are effective. So that's from my perspective.
And I think just this is a new industry for us, and what I'm seeing here that maybe we're not seeing as aggressively other places is how fast withdrawals are happening and how the pipeline of new tools needs to be developed and built so that you feel confident that what's coming through, a treadmill of pesticides is not going to be the solution because they're withdrawing faster than they're coming on the market. And so I think what I would love to see is how this system of growers, this system of organizations can accelerate the pipeline of tools alongside you guys so that you know what's coming, you feel good, you had some skin in the game in terms of determining what's coming, because it has to be quick. We have to be quick, and I think that's going to be one of the biggest challenges.
So you had a lot of good points in your question. But I mean, realistically, with regulatory and consumer pressures coming down the pike, I personally think one of the biggest challenges is getting the ag tech industry to work together and collaborate with organizations like yours to say, how do we bring this to the growers at a reasonable price, at a reasonable time, in an effective way that is not throwing 10 different things at you at one time. But I think I at the Vision Conference, I was talking to all kinds of different companies because I think it's really important that we start talking to each other, because I think everyone can agree there's benefits in moving towards technology, precision technology. But I think that we need to do a better job as an industry and to help make that easier to adopt.
Okay, so technology, you have the innovators, the early adopters. Getting people to trust the technology is a real challenge. The fact that machine can go and spray that corner of that cement within 3 centimeters, you don't believe it until you see it. So that's one thing. You have the early adopters and then the people that accept that. Regulators is another thing. That was really a challenge. This started with unmanned aircraft in California in 2013. I called the FAA and they go, well, I don't know why you're calling us, call the Ag Department. And the Ag Department gave us, 3 sites to do some trials. So adoption and acceptance is very challenging when it comes to technology, but that has come full circle now. And then label language is really a challenge here in California. The rates are so high by aircraft, getting them to accept 3 gallons rates. And now the chemical manufacturers are doing the efficacy work and seeing this does work at 3 gallons. And this has just been, it's more about the droplet spectrum than it is the volume, and getting people to accept that has been very challenging, but it's starting to. I think one day you're going to see these systems where 10 of them are flying a field very soon. And it's going to be pretty impressive of what they can do. But it's the early adopters and regulators and label language that's a challenge. And DPR. I didn't say that out loud. I did not say that out loud.
I don't think we have anyone here from DPR, but well, I think those are helpful thoughts from you. As the Almond Board tries to figure out what can we do to both promote more of this conversation, whether it's with growers and PCAs in trust and with registrants and technology developers, as you brought up, Lisa. I'm always struck, having worked in other cropping systems. We're big. Almonds is big in California. We're big in the world here. But all our 1.6 million acres is a drop in the bucket to the corn and soybean acres in this world. So we don't get kind of the attention on precision technology of any spectrum of investment. And so hopefully getting more on people's radar making sure people realize how there is an opportunity here, not just for almonds, but for any orchard crops. I mean, much of the technology is common and the same as you pointed out with apples. But then also trying to build more confidence. We've done activities to actually test out commercial products, just to evaluate them through third parties to make that data available. It's not picking a winner, but just we've done that with tree-based sensors to replace the pressure bomb, as we heard earlier, as a challenge for many growers. So there's some commercial technologies out there that you can put on the tree, and which one of these, what is the evaluation of those? We're about to launch into a biopesticide evaluation program, and hopefully we'll continue to go forward from there. So great advice in that, your comments to the almond board. But I'll open it up if there's growers or PCAs out there that have questions for this group before we conclude for the day.
I think one of the ways we've solved that, we did purchase AgWorld and AppRex, so we are the parent company of those two. But Agrian we are not, and we haven't run into those situations yet. It's been a pretty good relationship so far, and the way we've worked around that is permissions. So we give the grower a permission sheet, they sign it and say it's fine to share the data through these platforms, and once we've had that permission, it's usually fine. But that's how we've overcome that so far.
Like all those boxes you check on a website or an app to just get to the next thing, you're giving permissions. Any others? Yeah, Gabrielle. So the question was, for those who can't hear, there are a number of pests and diseases where there's a geospatial dimension. So navel orangewort, edge effects. If your neighbor is doing poor sanitation, you will feel the pressure. Where do you see that going? Are there technological solutions to that?
I can just make a quick comment there. UC Davis manages a database geospatially called VectorServe, and all the data associated with diseases, with vector-borne diseases with mosquitoes and mosquito populations and treatments all goes to that central location. I don't see why that would not preclude something similar to what you're looking for on a statewide basis, a reporting statewide basis database, geospatially.
Any other thoughts from panelists?
I do just wonder how much an individual grower wants to share their data. So I think that's what it's going to come down to, is these platforms are capable of doing those things and accessing big public databases and making it viewer friendly, right? I can go on my app and I can see what the UC Davis database looks like, but that is down to consent from the community to say, we will share our data, we will let it be public. I didn't do my sanitation this year, might be quite a sensitive topic to share.
Yeah, but they're reporting monthly state use reports, right? Everybody has to do, whether it's the aerial applicator or the agency or the grower, that has to be reported. So that kind of data certainly should be part of a centralized database.
For pesticide applications, I think you may be talking about vector-borne disease type stuff, which is slightly,
that's immediate. Yeah.
Maybe more sensitive, that people are willing to share because of the immediacy to human health. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, I want to thank all of you for your insights today, and thank those of you who remain for sticking it out. This is, sorry that we were at the tail end here, but this is an important opportunity for us, both as growers, PCAs, handlers, and the almond board, to kind of think forward about what can we do to accelerate adoption of practices and accelerate the pipeline of tools that might be available to solve some of our problems more ecologically or more economically, depending on what the pressures are. So thanks very much for everybody, and thanks to those of you who attended today.